To the Oracle BI and Data Viz stack. So the objectives today are just to kind of have a discussion about, what are the DV plugins extensions, where can we find them, and then how to use and install and use them in your projects. The motivation for this topic was based on a conversation within the BWA leadership team, where some of the folks hadn't used Data Viz and are like, well, what are these extensions and how do I use them and where do I get them from? And well, maybe we can make that into a tech cast. And I got volunteered, and I am honored to be the inaugural webcast tech cast for BWA here, our Analytics and Data Summit. So the current library and Oracle is adding to this is quite extensive. If you take a look at the screenshot here, we have them categorized now into easier to find and navigate from the visualization library. The bar charts and the grids and lines and pies, and then we get into some of the more advanced, like the network and the scatter plots, and then some that tend to be a little bit more visual in nature, being the performance tile, the map, tag clouds, adding some text and timelines and things like that. But sometimes these just don't help tell your story. And what Oracle has done is create a framework for people to go in, add, and create their own. And then from creating their own, we're able to put them into the library. So these extensions or plugins that kind of people bounce back and forth with the names, they're custom. They're coded. They're coded with JavaScript and style sheets and a language that's based on something called D3, which is for lack of a better word, the name means data-driven documents. And if you go out to the web, you can find the D3 galleries, and it's really, really quite extensive. There's just some really fascinating visualizations that I think would be nice to have in the Oracle stack. But right now, what you can do is build your own and use them. So we've got some that are already coming in as plugins that someone has already created. They've gone out here and pulled in the D3, modified it, and then made it work into an extension. So if we come back to my extensions, so that's what a D3 file looks like. So where do we find these? Well, if we're going to look for them, we get out to the Oracle Analytics library. And think of this as like an app store for plugins or extensions. But it has a whole lot more. It's got some really neat tutorials, some great examples that you can practice with. So actually DBA projects that just import into your Analytics cloud or into your Data Viz desktop. The Geo library for layers. There's a whole host of them. And if we go out here, you can see we can download, we can run through some tutorials. There's some examples that Philippe Leon and his team have been building out. The tutorials are phenomenal. Get your chance to go and try them out. But the part that we're talking about today are the extensions. I might actually do another tech cast and talk about geo layers at another time. But here are these downloads. So you can come in. The neat thing about these extensions are the ones that may have been created by some of the partners. So Peak Indicators, my friend Gary Adishek at GE, he did 3 of them in here. We've got the butterfly, the vertical waterfall, and the elbow dendrogram. So the one piece easy to get to You know, if you want to know how it works, you can watch a video. If it's tied to a blog, maybe someone wrote, there's the blog post. Just kind of going through them real easy here. You can also then maybe an extra README. How does it work, or why was it produced? But to download them is create your Oracle account and click download. And you agree to the license, and it downloads to your download folder. And I got the wrong one in here. And there it is, I download, okay? I'm not going to download it for the sake of time, but if we look, I have already downloaded a whole host of them. And the one thing to note is that these do get updated. Oracle and the people who have produced these may find something that they want to add to it, change up a little bit. So you can see up here the performance tile. This one actually came out about a year or two ago, and it's been recently updated. So keep an eye on the dates, because these do get updated occasionally. So back to my presentation. So using that you've downloaded, we get into how do you use it, all right? And the topics I want to cover, and I'm going to stay out of the PowerPoint for the rest of the next, I would say, 15 minutes or so. We're going to look at how do I install it, the 5 that I chose for this presentation: the calendar heat map, the butterfly chart, the force-directed graph plugin, the circle pack, and a row expander. So put this away and bring in DataViz. So to bring in your plugin, your extension, click on the hamburger stack, pancake stack, whatever you want, menu indicator, and go to console. The same interface is available in cloud. I'm doing it on desktop just for ease of use and not having to worry about overloading bandwidth with a webcast and web traffic. So in the console, we have our extensions, and we can switch the view. We can look to see which ones are already here. All right. And then what you do is you grab over here the extension you're interested in, and you can see that I do not have the cluster map yet in my library. And all we do is drag it in, and it loads up. Or you can just click the upload extension and go find it, right? But the neat thing is it's just a click and drag into the screen. So once it's in there, you notice there was a message that said you need to refresh. So what we do, we close down DV and we reopen it. And that will refresh the plugin into DataViz for use in a project. We'll wait for this to come back up. And the question, are we going to share the PowerPoint with you? We will not share the PowerPoint directly. We will put the video up. So we may burn it to a PDF. We'll talk about that later amongst the board. So now that I have my plugins added, I can start to use them. So the first one I want to talk about is the calendar. And if we look at my calendar project, I'm going to switch to the trend line real quick. And the calendar is based on a date. We're looking at how does time, what is a measure on time? So if we take a look at my trend line, you know, it's kind of hard to say, like maybe middle December against middle November, only through the graph, but January, but we're not seeing anything about maybe Saturdays or Sundays or Wednesdays or second Tuesdays of the month. So that's where I think the calendar heat map works. And we can start with a new project, a new canvas. Actually, what I'll do is just make it really simple. I'm going to copy this chart, this visualization. I'm going to paste it and put it below. And in this one, I'm going to change out to the calendar heat map. And there it is. So the Oracle visualizations are all gray. The custom ones are color, and they're always at the bottom. So I'm going to swap out the calendar heat map, and voila. Note that the calendar can only have one measure. So you see that one of them is been disabled or taken out of the mix. But I can duplicate this guy, and I can put in one measure being my revenue, and the next rev by number of orders. So take that one out, and there it is. So I can see that across time, but I can also see within the calendar what's going on. And this helps more from a perspective of, you know, again, comparing days of the week against other days of the week. That's why I like calendars for this kind of display. The neat thing about the calendar heat map is that we can also swap out, instead of showing it by day, I can show it by, say, week. And what's going to happen is going to give me the end of the week. And again, heat map the value by the end of each week. Okay. So that's the calendar heat map. Save that, and we'll go back home to. All right. So the butterfly report is much like a clustered bar chart. So we'll take a look at I like using my Canada Superstore sales. So take them out. We'll take out the product category, and we'll bring in order quantity. So we have some numbers real quick, and we'll turn that into the clustered bar. And then I want order quantity and sale amount. And what we can work from the butterfly is to see if there's a relationship. If one's higher, does the other go? So you can see just by swapping out the visualization, I will duplicate. And sometimes it's just the idea is there a correlation? All right. Is there a relationship as these go up, is the other one going up, or is it going down? So that's where the butterfly one works nice in terms of reviewing two measures against a dimension, much like a scatter plot would do as well. Right? So that one's one developed by Gary Adashek and company out of GE. He's another fellow Oracle ace. So bounce back to home. Right? The force, no, I don't want to save. The force directed is the next one. And force directed is much like a pie chart, except that each of the pie slices become a node, and then we can have subnodes. We'll start again with California, or my Canada Superstores. And in this case, I'm going to look at my province and region and order quantity. Bring them in. Again, I got a category of values, colors. I'm going to put these together, and we'll change this to a pie. All right, so we can see right there. All right, so we start with the province and region, and we'll duplicate this just so we can see that how it is working in terms of a force directed. Again, remember, force directed is just looking at the Are you? There we go. Sorry about that. Basically looking at the sum, meaning, and then the parts of that sum. And we need to move these guys around so that region is first. So we can look at what makes up the whole. And that's the neat thing about this force directive is it's kind of fun to stretch it around and move things out. You know, we can then expand out one of those and make it so we can see it. And again, remember this data viz is about trying to tell a story, so we have some capabilities of focusing on what we want the user to see, and I, kind of need to bounce it a little bit. But again, remember, we're looking at the whole. What makes up? How is from Saskatchewan and Manitoba to Prairie. Ontario is only Ontario, but we've got, the western part of Canada is made up of British Columbia and Alberta, and we can see that British Columbia has more of the share of Western Canada. However, Western Canada has more of the share makeup of all of Canada. So that's what the force directive works with. And what's neat about this is just the similar capabilities of force directed would be the circle pack. And the circle pack is actually one of them that Oracle puts out in their tutorial. I'm hitting the wrong button here. Go. Edit, duplicate. So circle pack is just another type of composition of whole. Where's my circle pack? That's not right. There it is. However, with the circle pack, we don't get the tips popping like it because it is a starting point. It's a framework for you to work with and build out your own based on the starting framework. So if you get into the code and you go through the tutorial and you're working with the circle pack plugin, you could start to put hoverovers, all right? However, this does support brushing. So if we go to a project that already has the circle pack, I'm not going to save this, that is part of a demo pack that Oracle put together. My projects all got moved around. You can see again the circle pack, and if I click in social sciences, it highlights that one. So at least we have an ability to relate. So you have the total donations by number of primary, and we can just here get its both color and size, and then I can just use the brushing effect from one analysis to highlight them in another. Okie doke. And finally, my last favorite, and it is called the row expander. So we'll kick back to home, and I'm just going to bring up my row expander project. The row expander is a great one for data that's based on hierarchy, where you're looking to drill down a path or drill down within a categories of elements. So we'll start with my product category, and here's a neat way to start a project is you go and pick your visualization, and then you start to fill it in. So when I bring in the visualization out of the library on the left side, so that was the second down, bring it in, and what the plugins will all tell you is that you need to put something somewhere. So it's asking me for rows, which are typically attributes, and values. And I can have multiple values, so it's kind of nice. Number of orders and number of customers. So we'll see what that works with. And then from here, we'll bring in my product category is my row. All right. And underneath product category, I'm going to put subcategory. And notice now I've got a little triangle. And then I'm going to put product container, and we'll see where this goes. So the neat thing about the row expander is much like drilling down in an analysis or a dashboard. And all we do is build what the hierarchy that we want the user to follow, and then we expand. So that I like. I like the ability to have high-level data and then bring the user into something a little bit more fine-grained. So that's the row expand. It has some limitations. It has not the ability to stretch. I can't make things wider for my length of my attribute here. So I couldn't stretch this row out a little bit. I would love to see the ability to color code. And even, I know we can sort, so that's kind of neat. But I can't sort my left column. So that's something else that I would love to see. However, you know, they're all great starting points, and you're able to get into them and help add to your data story. So I've shown my 5 favorites. I'm going to bounce back to the PowerPoint. And there we go, installing the calendar heat map, the butterfly chart, the forced graph plugin, and this one was built by the folks at Glamis Software, the Circle Pack, one of the demos and starting points from the Oracle SDK and tutorial for building a plugin. And then finally, the row expander. So you want to create your own? Where do you start? How do you do it? Well, the documentation has a great starting point on the software development kit and all of the pieces that you need to start with, and walks you through code pieces. It's really quite handy. And if you really want to get into it on your own, there is the tutorial, and I showed you that right off of the Oracle Analytics library. And that's a step-by-step. And do this, click here, do that. So I have time for questions. And let's read it. Is there a way to use the extensions on-prem DV version? Yes. I'm using DV Desktop, and the DV portion should be available, plugins should be available in use in regular desktop. Q&A as well as chat questions. So
yeah, when there's on the Q&A, there's a question. What about the on-premise version?
And I think Philippe has been answering that question as well. Most of these should work with the on-premise version. Just make sure that you're patching to the more current release of Oracle OBIE, and also be aware that with OBIE on-prem, you have to be licensed for DV. Cloud, it comes along with it. Is it possible to change the colors in the Circle Pack? I don't know. I think yeah, I think you could change going into the palette and picking a different color to be what you're highlighting based on size. Let's see, change. I don't see any other questions here, Charlie. Let's see, Q&A. There we go. What about on-premise version? We already did that. Can you recommend any training resources for on-premise DV desktop? Jeff, I would take a look at the tutorials that are out there in the Oracle Analytics library. There's quite a few tutorials there.
I just put them in the chat window again, your link for the tutorials, Wayne.
Yeah, good deal, thanks. So yeah, the Oracle tutorial there is, that's in there is the tutorial for building out a plugin, just regular data viz tutorials. I would go back again to the analytics library and walk through these exercises. There's you download the data, there's a whole host of pieces to walk through each of these. Very, very informative. There's YouTube videos to step up. I think if you spent the time that's all allocated in these presentations, you'd be doing well. Oracle also has a Udemy course. I forgot to mention that. It's Augmented Analytics. Udemy Augmented Augmented Analytics. Philippe, do you remember what that site is?
Maybe Philippe can type it in the chat window.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, Augmented Analytics, so modern data visualization with Oracle Analytics Cloud, and then augmented data visualization with machine learning. So right there you go. These two are free from Oracle on Udemy. Again, some really good ones to walk through. You can see, what, 47 lectures, 4 hours, all levels. The machine learning, 43 lectures, 3.5 hours. You know, you got a day's worth of these to walk through, and you're good to go. So, all right, Charlie, I am wrapping it up here. I'd like the folks to remind you all about Analytics and Data Summit 2020. It will be in February 25th to the 27th at Oracle HQ. It's a phenomenal conference at a reasonable price and some great content and great speakers. I had the pleasure in the past to be one of those speakers. So we hope to look forward to seeing you all there. And Charlie, all yours.
All right. Thank you, Wayne, for a most excellent tech cast here, and also our inaugural one. Congrats to him for doing such a great job here. This is part of a whole series. So actually, I will be doing, along with Devani, Seth, and Sadesh, two people that I've been working with for machine learning demos and such. We'll be doing one in about 2 weeks. Please dial in for that one. Hopefully it's as good as Wayne's here, which was excellent. And if you would like to share a topic and share your skills and share your knowledge, submit your topics to the link that's there. Wayne, I think we put that in the chat window. Maybe you can put that, I think it's at the top. Maybe you can put that in one more time, or I'll put it in shortly. But you just basically go to the TechCast page that we have that you got to, to get to here, and then it says submit your own. You click on that and you submit it. And then what we do is we, the TechCast organizing committee, we kind of sift through those. We pick out the ones that we think are really, good ones and enjoyed by many and good information to share. And we'll work with you to schedule you into one of these 2-hour TechCast slots. So please come on stage and share your expertise. With that, Wayne, I think we'll wrap it up. This has been recorded. I will stop the recording now. I did notice at the very beginning, I missed the first minute of the beginning. So it'll be a little bit abrupt, the opening slide, and then Wayne's kind of introducing himself. So missed the intro, but I think if you listen to the end, you pick up on what we're doing here. So we'll record this. We'll post it up on the website as a recording for on-demand viewing. We'll also try to get it up on YouTube. And if you have any other suggestions of anything, any feedback at all, please share it with the team. We hope to be doing quite a few of these. Thank you very much. Have a good day, everyone.